I think it's irresponsible to dismiss every conspiracy theory that comes around just because it's a conspiracy theory. Like, there's no institution comprised of more documented lies than the government. If you're taking everything they tell you at face value, you must not have a very good memory. You've seen shows. It is always in their best interest to keep information from the public that would either cause a panic or incite riots or revolt, and I'm behind that rationale because society is always in dogged pursuit of the thinnest reason to go berserk. Some hidden intel leaks or any political scandal is unearthed, and everyone's first thought is, I can break storefront windows over this, right? My favorite part of election night is taking baseball bats to parked cars regardless of who wins. Not only are the Purge movies an accurate portrayal of human nature, it would probably work in real life if implemented. 12 hours a year, where all crime including murder is legal, takes your animal instincts out for a much-needed walk and relaxes them in annual cycles, lowering overall crime outside that half-day period. I'm not advocating for it. I wouldn't want the Purge to be real because, comedians are going to be among the first to go. Death threats over jokes suddenly get serious the closer the clock moves towards the annual Purge. It's like ethnic cleansing, but with funny people. But they'll take any excuse to turn violent. Girls are getting abortions? I'm going to shoot up this clinic. The economy is tanking? I'll murder-suicide my family. SNL hired another white guy? Let me firebomb every building I can find! We're standing on our tiptoes at the edge of a cliff, praying for the slightest gust of wind to blow us off, because it's so restraining to follow rules and be decent, and it isn't natural. Like, human law isn't inherent, it's taught. It's not like animal law where they're born with it. An ant knows its duty is to serve the colony from the second it hatches. The queen can literally choose what kind of ant she births. Its role is assigned in the womb, or whatever ants have, and there's no deviation from birth to death. You hear stories of humans that were raised by wolves or some shit, and it's like, that dude ain't coming to work in a suit and tie, you feel me? It's not his instinct to clock in at 9 a.m. and leave at 5. His life goal is to feed, forage, and fuck till he dead, and I wouldn't mind doing 2/3 of that either. Don't make me forage. We can't function without suppressing our nature, and anyone who lets it show in a moment of weakness or passion gets ostracized, which I looked that word up and it apparently means having your dimensions changed into those of an ostrich. That's where ostriches come from, actually. They're all former humans who failed to toe the line, and as punishment, God turned them into flightless birds that can kick the shit out of a lion. It's in the Bible. Which, when you think about it, means that the Great Flood didn't wipe out all of humanity, because 2 of them remained in the form of ostriches. Sinners given a second chance at redemption, which they didn't take, so they were still just ostriches forever, running back and forth across the ark, pissing everybody off. They even laid an egg, like 19 days into the flood, but Noah was like, it's too early to repopulate, you assholes. There's 953,000 times 2 cataloged species up in this bitch, we don't have room. So he threw the egg off the boat and the embryo drowned. Now, of course, the ostriches were distraught at losing their firstborn son, so they swore to God himself they would repay him in kind. A couple thousand years later, God's firstborn son Jesus dies on the cross. Coincidence? Or ostrich vengeance? The Bible leaves many things open to interpretation, for better or worse. I hate when people act annoyed at comedians who reuse their material on different TV appearances. They're like, hey, he told that joke on The Tonight Show, but now he's on Conan and he's telling it again. Yeah, they're trying to spread it around to as many different audiences as possible for publicity. Usually for the special they're promoting, which is also going to have that joke in it, sorry to say. What, you want the cast of Hamilton to perform a different Broadway musical every city they go to? Well, they ain't gonna. Being a live performer means doing the same shit over and over and fucking over until you want to kill yourself to make people accept you. If I had to go on stage every night and recite 10 of my stream of consciousnesses in a row, I'd probably get sick of myself. I'm just kidding. I never get old. But when I did musicals in high school, we would do 7 show nights in 2 weeks, and after the second one, I was like, I am done. That's why I'd always improv different scenes and add jokes and test my cast members' reflexes, because otherwise, oh boy, you want me to recite this monologue verbatim again? I'd rather pull my phone out of my pocket during a production that takes place in a time period where phones don't exist and watch everyone around me force themselves to pretend to not know what a phone is to try and save the immersion that has already been shattered. What's that kooky looking device you got there? It's a 5C, Carl. You have an even better one in your pocket. Here, I'll call it real quick. Then an Alessia Cara ringtone permeates through the auditorium and the rest is history. Alessia Cara is like if Lorde got barbecued by Adele. Anyway, just in case you needed another glimpse into my fame whore psychosis, I sign holiday cards to family members with my full name. First and last. Those will be worth something someday. I'm signing my name in gold every time. Best hold on to my well wishes until that value starts appreciating. Tell your bank account to get well soon, cause it will be. I don't like when people just spout philosophical anecdotes when they're not called for at all. If someone's ever come to you with their problems, or you're just having a conversation about anything at all, and they complain about something, never respond to that with any variation of the phrase, well, sometimes in life you just nope. Don't assume the role of college professor for this interaction like you have any more clarity than me on the mechanics of life. Saying, well, that's just life, has never made anyone go, man, you're right, it is just life. Wow. It's a random number generator we exist inside of. Thanks, bro, I needed that. Life doesn't have lessons. It's like trying to glean wisdom from the payouts of a slot machine. Things aren't going to turn out the same way every time, especially in relationships. If a girl dumps you for spending too much time playing video games, you don't go, oh, I think all women must not like it when I play video games a lot. Now that I've learned that, I'm going to cut back. No, the next one that comes along might play even longer than you do. There are so few, if any, things to learn from life that apply across the board. I've heard people be like, yeah, my last relationship ended badly, but I learned a lot. Yeah, you learned a lot for if you ever get back together with that specific person. Otherwise, you cannot be certain that any of that shit is going to help you with the next one. Life coaching isn't specific enough to not be a sham. The only way the guy can help you is if you adopt his actual life that he lived to get where he is. Change your name to his name, get plastic surgery till you look identical to him, adopt his personality in full, and do everything he ever did in the order he did it. Only then can that dude say for certain that his experiences worked for somebody else. We're always going to be who we are, and other people can influence positive microevolutions in us on a small scale, but if you've ever credited someone else for turning your life around, you either mean they just gave you money or opportunity, or you happen to hear the secret password you needed to unlock your own potential that was always in there waiting for you to have the right mindset to find it. All they did was say words. It was up to you to use them to benefit you. I couldn't have done it without my life coach, or I couldn't have done it without God. You could have, you just didn't. I'm pretty sure that if it wasn't for religion, my entire family would have killed themselves by now and left me all alone creating my own purposes from within like an asshole. My parents were raised to believe, they raised us to believe, but me and both my sisters all grew out of it until one of them sunk back in after she broke off an engagement and another sunk back in after a divorce. I don't know, maybe God can be their ideal man, I guess. But that's such a hollow existence. Their faith pulls the strings of the otherwise lifeless bodies they inhabit. I have never understood the need to have purpose. Why can't you just be a happy, pointless sack of garbage and live life free from divine judgment? I just really want to feel like my life means something. Well, that's too bad, isn't it? But really, you can create that meaning yourself, and it can be whatever you want. Whatever difference you want to make in the world, whatever contributions you want to associate with your reason for being, make that shit so. You don't need to follow a predetermined example of some guy that makes hurricanes and has ingrained you to be thankful that they were not bigger hurricanes. It's so hard to follow divine rules that people fucking rewrote them to better suit themselves. They pick and choose what they want to abide by and claim to be good people, which they still could be at that point, but then they decry other people who are the exact same amount of good but follow different rules. I'm not Christian, obviously, but I still follow 5 out of the 10 commandments just by happenstance. You're telling me I don't get partial credit? I don't make idols because I'm not a sculptor. I don't currently murder. I've yet to commit adultery. All I'm guilty of stealing is girls' hearts, so I don't count that. And I don't know what false witness against my neighbor implies, but I've never even talked to them, so I doubt I've broken that one as well. It's still an F, but it's a high F. Luckily, it's an F in a class I'm not even taking, so who gives a shit? Well, that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.